Don't you ever hit me again!
Chief, I think we got a hit on our hands.
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
Hi, I'm John Malos, and welcome to this edition of Connect with Me, live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Tuesday morning. Normally we have the focus on business, but today we have a special guest in our studio. We're waiting for your phone calls. He represents District Number 5. He's an assemblyman. He's a freshman. Waiting to take your phone call, 436-ME-TV. Now remember what the rule is. You've got to turn your sound down on your TV, then hit option 11 as soon as possible. Just let your fingers do the walking, but if you don't turn your sound down, we won't be able to hear you. Back in just a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And we're back here live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that phone number, 436-ME-TV, hit option 11. You know, we set up this phone system, this phone banking system for your needs because, you know, you can call that number. You see, we're trying to help you. You can call that number at 3 o'clock in the morning. We won't be here, of course, at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you have many options. If you listen to the message, you can leave a message. Leave us maybe some show ideas. If you have an idea for a guest for the show, you can leave a message on there. You can send us an email. But we set up that phone system for your benefit. Now, if you're calling it on the show live, like today, for example, we have a special guest in on this Tuesday morning, you know, forget about the message. You don't wade through that. You don't put yourself through that pain. All you have to do is call the number 436-ME-TV, and as soon as you hear it, hit option 11, you'll get on the air, but remember, you got to turn your sound down. Today we're talking politics, one of my favorite topics, of course, other than sports, but we're talking about Sacramento. We're talking about state politics, and how frustrated are you at the ongoing events in Sacramento at your state capital? Well, our guest today will talk, perhaps, we'll touch on some of the topics that I want to put up on the screen, and you will see them in just a moment. These are some of the topics that we may touch on this day. Hey, how about that big story from yesterday? The faulty bolts on the Bay Bridge is going to delay the opening of the Bay Bridge instead of Labor Day. Who knows when it could be? It could be later this year. It could be next year. Union workers get a big pay raise. The Transgender Bill, what is that? We'll talk about that perhaps. The new term limits for lawmakers in Sacramento. How about the inmate release program? Has that been delayed? Apparently so. And oh my, yikes! Have you been to the gas pump lately? Well, I'm sure you have, unless you're walking or taking a bicycle. Those gas prices have certainly gone up. Live in our studio right now is Frank Bigelow. He's an assemblyman. He is a freshman representing District Number 5 out of Madera. And we're glad to have him in the studio today. He has taken the time to come in and answer your questions and mine. Remember, 436-ME-TV, option 11, turn down the sound on your TV. Back in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean Dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
And we're back here live on the showroom floor talking politics on this day, state politics. What are those politicians up to in Sacramento? My favorite topic. We are pleased to have in our studio today Frank Bigelow, representing District 5. You're a freshman. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So how do you like it? How do you like the job so far?
It's been quite entertaining so far. You know, being a new guy up there has some of its Well, value, if you will.
Yeah.
Everyone likes the new kids on the block.
You're the new kid.
And so we're some of the new kids on the block. I say that jokingly, but we're the new folks, and everybody wants to come meet you and wants to tell you about their little story of whatever it may be.
Right.
So it's kind of entertaining to be the freshman this year.
Now, let me ask you, you're a Republican, right?
I am a Republican.
Conservative?
Conservative.
Okay, tell us about your background and where you're from and how you got into this.
It's a long story, and I'm sure the 30 minutes won't do it justice, but I'll try to speed it through.
Give us like the minute version.
The minute version is pretty simple. My family has been in Madera County since the mid-1800s. We're
Farming.
cattle ranchers. We've been farmers. We've been had a little foray into the public utilities business, having a small independent telephone company. And our family has been brought up to give back to the communities, so I got involved by becoming a county supervisor and spent 14 years over in Madera County as the District 1 representative. And one day somebody said, you ought to try using your talents up at the state capitol and see if you can help fix this mess that we're in California and go represent us. I did, throw my hat, no pun intended, in the ring, and I got elected.
Last November, you got elected, right?
Got elected.
Yeah, amazing. Now, you're a farmer still, or a rancher?
Still a rancher, still have some farming.
All right. Congratulations. Hey, we got a phone call here off the bat.
Already.
Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. What's your question today for the Assemblyman?
Well, I have a problem here. Hopefully somebody can do something. Maybe he can help out, too. I'm a 67-year-old woman who lost her eyesight 16 years ago, and I avail myself of home care. Now, the governor and everybody have seen to it that our hours are cut short for our care providers. They don't get paid as much, but yet they don't think twice about giving themselves a 5% raise. How does this affect anybody?
Okay, you're speaking in respect to the 5% pay raise that all the legislators received recently. Is that correct?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
They have enough money for their pay raises, but what about these things that are needed by people like myself?
I understand that completely, and I'm sorry about your eyes and the effect that's caused on you in your life. With respect to the care workers and the pay raise, understand that the legislators don't raise and lower their pay. That is done by an independent commission that does that. So our pay can go down, which it has. Long before I was there, their pay was closer to like almost $140,000 a year.
Now the average is about $90,000, I think, isn't it?
It is, and it just got raised, as the caller is talking about, and that raised it a couple of $1,000s for each legislator.
Right. Well, let's move on to something else. I appreciate your call. Thank you for your time. Let's immediately turn to the video here and the monitor and take a look at the Bay Bridge. Yesterday, big story breaking. Of course, transportation officials, Caltrans, putting together the new eastern span of the Bay Bridge, scheduled to open Labor Day. Now it's going to be delayed, perhaps months, maybe into next year because of faulty bolts. How do you explain this, Assemblyman?
I can't. I don't sit on the Transportation Commission.
Right, I understand.
Our committee, and so a lot of the information they have hasn't been disseminated to all the members at this point, but I can say what knowledge we do have. It's very concerning that here we spend billions and billions of dollars.
$6.3 billion to build this span.
That's right. And now we've got untested bolts that are faulty that could cause a catastrophic event if we have
in the event of an
vehicles.
earthquake.
Just imagine, whether it's seismic or just the rumble of the tires of vehicles going across it could potentially cause a catastrophic event. So I don't have all the answers for you on that. I am going to say I'm pleased that they have decided to hold off opening it until we have an answer to the questions that need to be addressed, so that we protect the people before we put them out there.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, last March, 32 of those bolts cracked, unbelievably so. They found more cracked bolts. 13 deeply buried reinforced concrete piles also need to be replaced, as I understand it. The bolts next to the bike path They need to be replaced as well. So apparently some of these bolts, Assemblyman, have been exposed, have overexposure to hydrogen. And apparently that's what has weakened these bolts. But you'd think Caltrans would have done more specific testing on these bolts.
Well, that's one of the questions that's been raised. Where was the inspections? Who was responsible for that testing?
Will heads roll, do you think, or should they?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
At Caltrans.
Whatever department is the affected party should have the consequences for their actions.
Right. I want to talk to you about high-speed rail. Again, turn to the monitor. You in favor or against high-speed rail?
I haven't. Well, let me address it this way for you. There's a gentleman that's in the governor's chair right now, Jerry Brown. He remembered me fondly from my days at Madera Board of Supervisors, because at one time the Madera Board of Supervisors was opposing the high-speed rail. I say one time because after I left, the board has pulled its opposition for some reason. I'm not familiar why they have pulled their opposition, but I still am opposed to the high-speed rail. Because one, let's start with the $33 billion. That's what people passed in the bond, $33 billion. Then the next issue we heard was it went to $98 billion. And it was supposed to be electric, and it went to diesel trains. The whole scope of that proposal that was in the bond measure changed. That isn't what the people authorized. And I think that's a violation, and it's directly a mistrust that the people were given. The government isn't following through what it said it would do.
And are you concerned about some of the businesses that may or may not be displaced?
Oh, that's another, I'm going to use the word egregious action. We have farmers and we have local business people who are going to be displaced. And in many cases, with respect to the farming ground, it's being cut diagonally, and that's going to cause a huge impact to those farmers and their daily operations and their way of life. In some cases, folks who have been for generations farming a piece of ground may be put out of business.
And the first stage is supposed to go up in Madera.
It is.
Your district.
It did.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my district, and there's no secret. I've been on national news, and I've spoken outwardly in opposition to this. When it starts in Madera and it proceeds south all the way down to Kern County, there's a lot of folks who are of the same mind that I am.
Quickly, before we go to break, is there enough opposition to stop the project?
I think that's untold yet.
We don't know yet.
I think that there's a good court case in Kings County. I think the folks are working really hard. I think there's a good case that the folks had in Madera that should be moving forward, and hopefully we'll see some resolution that hopefully will stop the high-speed rail.
Okay, we're talking with Frank Bigelow. He's an assembly member. He's a freshman, District number 5 out of Madera. Appreciate his time coming in. I noticed during the first interview block here that we had 2 phone calls coming in. I promise if you call back at 436-MeTV option 11, I will get you on in the next block. We're back with our guest in a moment.
Weeknights on MeTV. Who loves you, baby?
You shouldn't ask.
It's Kojak.
Well, it sounds like music to my ear.
On MeTV.
Look at me.
Why do we love him?
Maybe it's the way I comb my hair.
Or maybe it's his trusty right-hand man.
More bite? Cracker! Cracker! Cracker!
Kojak!
Well, I just wanted to hear how it sounded.
Telly Savalas is Kojak.
Story of my life, baby.
Weeknights at 12:30, 11:30 Central on MeTV.
Who loves you?
Sorry about your phone calls in the last segment. I noticed we had 2. If you call right back, we'll get you on with Frank Bigelow. He is an assembly member, of course, District 5 in Madera, a freshman. Appreciate him coming in on the program today. 436-MeTV. Remember, turn down the sound on your TV and we'll get you up and running here on the air. So, Assemblyman, let me ask you another question. This has to do with a pay raise, 4.5% pay raise for the union workers. I want to put that up on the screen. The Senate approved by a 2/3 majority vote to give 95,000 members of the SEIU Local 1000 a raise starting in 2014. The State Assembly voted in favor by a whopping 63-9 vote with the help of 10 Republicans, including yourself, okay, 2.5% raise starting July of next year, and then another one in July of 2015. Why did you vote in favor of this? You're one of 10 Republicans who in fact did so, along with Connie Conway out of Tulare County.
Yes, and thank you. With respect to that particular measure, it was that particular pay raise goes to the lowest of the low that are being paid in the state. It also goes to folks who haven't had a pay increase or an adjustment since 2007. It also addressed something that all Republicans, I think, rally around, and that's the fact that before, most of the employees were receiving their retirement at the age of 55, 2% at 55. This goes from 2% at 55 to 2% at 62. So it increased the longevity, and that's an actual decrease and savings for the state of California.
Another phone call. Good morning. You're on with the Assemblyman Frank Bigelow. What's your question?
Well, not a question, just a comment in general.
Okay.
My name is Mike, calling
Mike.
from Kings County.
Mm-hmm.
I use the nice rapid transit we've got here, known as Amtrak. The one thing that's really amazing to me about this whole idea of high-speed rail, the train only goes into Martinez, not into San Francisco. It goes all the way up to Seattle, but it doesn't get into San Francisco. And then if you want to get to L.A., the farthest south you can go is Bakersfield, and then you have to take a bus all the way from Bakersfield into Los Angeles. Yet there's a rail system that exists from Bakersfield into the Lancaster area, which is ironically one of the alternate routes for this high-speed debacle here. I think the smart thing would be just fix what we have now. We've got a real nice train system. Why do you need to spend $33 million or billion or whatever when you just need to fix what we've got? That's my comment. I think the problem here is that governments are just spending way too much money because they just think they can spend the money.
Government run amok, is it?
Well, I certainly appreciate those comments, and they're most appropriate. And you know, the point being here is you're making a very good point that a lot of people have tried to make. The wheel really isn't broken here. All we need to do is a little fine-tuning to the existing system, and we can move the people more agile. We can move them more effectively from point A to point B and get them to their destinations where we can. A lot of people don't want to drive today. They want to commute by train. I get that part of the message, but the high-speed rail with its cost, again, I'm going to go $33 billion is what they asked for. The latest projections went to $98 billion. Then they reduced that to $68 billion on the cost. I think it's a well understood fact that this is going to cost way more than the $68 billion to accomplish. Much of that money could be used to improving the existing Amtrak operations, and also go back and put money into our existing transportation mode systems that we have. What ultimately is going to happen here, in my humble opinion, is that we're going to see a devastation to the airline industry, and we're going to see continued destruction to our existing transportation systems on the highways.
All right, another call before we go to break. Good morning. You're on with the Assemblyman, Frank Bigelow.
Yeah, good morning, John.
What's your question?
And Frank, maybe a couple of questions. Listen, this is one of the bigger ones. What does it take to get more Republicans back in office in California? That's one question. Well, it could go to the second question. We need more antibiotics, more. I hope he wins. And so that's one of my main questions, so we can take our state back again to conservatism, less spending. Actually, the second question was, are they still spending as they normally would just because they got taxes, money from the bond, I believe, that was passed? Are they still spending it foolishly, in your opinion? Okay, thank you. Thanks, John and Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. With respect to the first question on the how do we get more Republicans elected, people need to come out and vote. People need to get engaged. They need to get they really need to get motivated. I've been talking to people up and down my district about becoming more motivated. We can't become complacent. We don't need to feel beat down. We need to get upbeat.
Complacent, though.
We are,
yeah.
And we've got to stop that. We've got to reach out. If it matters to us that we have a state that's more prudent, more responsible, then we need to get involved. You, John Malos, needs need to be more involved. The folks here in the station, this caller, needs to become more involved and engaged. Work with your next door neighbor. Go down your entire block. Get those folks motivated to come out and vote. I bet if you walk around your block and just yourself, John, I bet you'll find people that don't vote or they're not motivated to vote. Find out why. Help them. We need those folks to turn out and vote.
But I'm going to ask you on the other side of this break, we got to go to commercial here, but I want to ask you, if you're a Republican, why would you want to run for office in Sacramento? I mean, you get nothing done. The Democrats do have a super majority. There's no question about that. Jim Patterson ran. He's a conservative. Is he getting anything done? Andy Videk wants in. Is he getting anything done? You're in. Are you getting anything done? That's the question for Republicans, and a big one. We're going to try to answer that on the other side of the break. 436-ME-TV. Option 11 is your telephone number, and we're back in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified, ready, steam equipped, high efficiency Frigidaire affinity place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Frigidaire laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Call coming out of the break here. Good morning. You're on Connect with me. What's your question now for the Assemblyman?
Yes, my question has to do with this rapid transit train system.
Okay.
My question is, I look back at when President Lincoln put the Transcontinental Railroad through. That was a very expensive undertaking. And I cannot understand why mainly Republicans are sitting here and against anything that is progressive. This needs to be done. Every nation in the world, every number one, first country nation has these railroads. We're falling way behind in every system we have, every transportation system. And if you think Amtrak, just tweaking it is going to solve the problems, it is not. And if you look at the cost just to run a train from Bakersfield to Los Angeles, look at that cost. And that's all my question. Why are we so far behind?
We get it. Okay, thanks for the call. I really appreciate your time and response.
Well, I appreciate that comment, and I think you raise a valid observation. There are other nations who are operating high-speed rails and types of modal transportation such as that, and if you take a look at those, they're all financially failing. They are costing their country tens of billions of dollars to operate, and I don't believe we can afford to do that in this country. And just because one country has something doesn't mean every country should follow in suit. Those countries, with their current levels of transportation, don't match even the type of transportation system we have developed in this great nation. We have an airline industry. We have the automobile industry who is operating fairly effective in moving people across the country, and we do have an existing rail system that moves people to and from.
Go ahead. All right. Let me get to some of these other topics, and let's put the gas tax up on the screen. I want to go through these quickly and get a quick comment. Look at that. State gas tax went up by 3.5% in July. That was starting July the 1st. How can this happen?
I think that caught everybody off guard with the Board of Equalization seeing this increase on the tax. And you know what's even more comical? We're right now seeing the summer turn down in the prices. So when we take a look, when that price kicked in a week ago, prices were what? Almost at a full $4 on the unleaded side. And now we're seeing it at anywhere from $3.69.
You're against the tax hike.
Oh, yes.
All right. California inmates, Governor Jerry Brown, delays freeing up to 10,000 California inmates will seek a reprieve from the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. This could delay the release for up to a year. Now, you know the federal judges, Assemblyman, they ordered this release. They ordered Governor Brown to release these inmates. What's your take on this?
Well, it's not much to take. Take a look at what's happening in our communities. These folks are being released. They're going right back to their criminal ways. They're causing more crimes, and they're going right back to jail. And our prosecutors are being deluged with more prosecutions than they have funding
You're
to handle.
You're against the releases.
Absolutely. People, when they do a crime, need to do the time.
Okay. Another call. Good morning. You're on with the Assemblyman. We got time for one question quickly. Go ahead.
Okay, I dutifully turned down my volume, but I do have a question. I don't know if he's addressed this yet or not. The casino for Madeira, pro, con, is it going to be good for us? Is it not good? Could you get the Assemblyman to comment? Thank you.
Great question.
I have supported the casinos since my days on the Board of Supervisors. We worked with the tribe. We got a
Why? What will it do for the county?
Actually, it will bring about 2,500 jobs to the county of Madera. Much needed jobs. When you look at the MOU, more than 50% of those jobs have to come from Madera County. Another third of those have to come from the city of Madera. The majority of the jobs will employ people from Madera County. This is a great opportunity for us to have not just the casino. The casino is a very small part of their entire portfolio of what they're looking at developing there. So it's going to give us an opportunity to have a much needed hotel capacity. It'll give us more room for small shops, small businesses to be there, a small convention center, which is very needed. I think you all know, John, there's not a lot of places to hold conventions or conferences in Madera. So this is going to be another added value.
Will it happen? Will it happen in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. I think it made it through the Assembly. It made it on a 41 vote. So it got through with a majority. It got through with a majority vote in the Senate the other day. So it's now already signed by the governor, once. So he ratifies his compact that he negotiated has been ratified.
So this is good for the economy, in your opinion?
It will be good for our economies as a whole.
All right. Put up another graphic on the screen, the Transgender Bill. Have you heard about this one? Look at this. The State Assembly passed it. The Senate passed it. It awaits the governor's signature. This basically means that a transgender student, like let's say if you're a man and you claim now that you're a woman, now you want to go into the woman's restroom. What do you make of this? A lot of people have not heard about this. A lot of people I know who have heard about it are outraged. Your take?
For everybody that's listening, go and look up Bill AB 1266. It's a horrible bill. It's almost every Republican that I know opposed this. Many Democrats didn't even.
Will
like
the governor sign it? Do you think?
I don't know. I'm not going to presume what the governor does. I can't judge what he's thinking at the moment when he signs every bill. But I certainly hope he doesn't. This is just horrible. Just horrible.
Quickly, another one up on the screen here. Term limits, they have changed now. As you will see, a politician can now serve 12 years total in the Senate and the Assembly. You like this one?
I do. I actually do. I think what we've seen with term limits, elected officials who were there for just 6 years had a six-year mental thought process. Short term, accomplish whatever I can, and I'm moving on. I'm out of here. We've got folks now that are looking long-term, farther down the road at what the consequences are to our actions. I think even the Democrats have to admit this is much better for us today.
You can get more accomplished, in other words, is what you're saying.
I think the added value that I've had as a supervisor, when I was a supervisor for 14 years, was historical knowledge and the understanding of the issues, because I was able to be there for a long time and understand them in detail.
Make an impact, is what you're saying.
And have an impact.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to be positive out of this 12-year.
We got 1 minute. Okay, how about the race coming up on July the 23rd? That's the election, and you've got Viadak against Perez. We see all the ads. I kind of chuckle every time one of these ads comes up. But what's your take on the race? I know you're a Viadak fan. You're a Republican. He's a Republican. How is this one going to turn out? It's been a wild and crazy ride on this one.
Plus, he's going to ruin a little stuff for me. He wears a cowboy hat, too. So I'm the only guy up there in the Capitol.
He's a cowboy like you.
He is. And we tend to work well together. So I think Andy's going to be a great shot.
What's he going to have to do to win?
Andy's going to have to do what I was talking about to the gentleman earlier. We have to stimulate the voters to get out and vote and support not just a conservative person, but somebody who's going to be focused on controlling this state and the impacts and the out-of-control situations that we have in this state.
All right. Frank Bigelow, a freshman, Assemblyman, District 5 out of
John.
Madera. You're a great guy. You come back anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know what? Don't even call us. Just show up. We'll put you on the air.
That'll be great. That'll be great.
All right.
Enjoy it.
Thank you, Assemblyman. I appreciate your time. Hey, tomorrow we're going to talk to a marathon runner who wants to become a nun. She lives in Sanger. What a great guest she's going to be tomorrow. Have a great day. If it's Connect with Me, you're watching Me TV Fresno.
All right, from the beginning. My name's Friday. I carry a badge.
Now on Xfinity 187.